Coming up on Tech News Today, turns out that Citibank hack was a simple URL hack. We'll explain. Also, Google brings the speech recognition and instant pages, not just instant search. Bloomberg accuses Comcast of violating the FCC agreement to acquire NBC. And Duke Nukem, forget it. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, June 14th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by FreshBooks, the easy online invoicing service that gets you paid quickly and makes you look professional. Get started with a free package at freshbooks.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz, Akhtar.
I'm Jason Howell.
Joining us from down in the great state of Texas, Miss Cali Lewis. Welcome, Cali.
Hey, guys. It's good to be back. It's been a while.
It's good to have you back. We missed you. What you been up to?
Celebrating Mavericks wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even realize we won. But congratulations, Mavericks.
It's always the best way to find out.
Yes.
I was actually out of town. I've been out of town going from coast to coast to coast doing all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, I'm about to head back out to New York, actually, for the CEA line shows, which is like a mini CES, but trade only. So we're going to actually be live streaming the entire event 2 days straight. So very excited about that.
Awesome. They don't call you Coast to Coast Cali for nothing.
Oh, do they?
In fact, they don't at all. I guess.
Is that my new nickname?
Yes, totally.
Can I have that on my lower third, please?
Everybody calls you that. Big announcement this morning from Google. Amit Singhal, Google fellow, got up on stage and hosted the talk about some search tweaks that they're coming. Google actually has a product called Search. I don't know if a lot of people realize that.
I thought they were best known for Wave and Orkut, right?
Yeah, no, a lot of people think that.
Okay.
But yeah, they do this side project called Search.
That's an idea.
So they wanted to make an announcement about that. One thing they noticed, they always start these talks with numbers. Mobile search peaks when desktop search goes down, and mobile search peaks on weekends and evenings. Desktop search peaks during the work hours.
Well, makes a lot of sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah. So here are the tweaks. Mobile search will get some tweaks to the search of maps. The search on mobile is going to get more app-like, more Android app-like. And when you search on maps, you can change search for location-based services, and you'll get some shortcuts to commonly search local categories. But it's kind of like an instant search, eh?
Yeah, on top of that, when you actually look at results that are location-based, the pages are rendered in Ajax, so if you change your results, the map will change without reloading the whole entire page, which actually looked pretty useful.
Voice recognition has been available for mobile search for a while. It's getting improved on mobile, and it's coming to desktop search this week. You'll see a little microphone show up to the right of your search bar, and then you'll be able to click on that and just talk.
I mean, assuming that there's a microphone input on whatever desktop machine you're using.
Also, assuming
Most people
you're
would
Just
have
imagine
one,
people
but
like, I'm trying to speak. There's nothing
at
going.
the public library, where's the mic?
I have a great, yeah. I have a feeling the microphone may not show up if you don't have a mic available. That's a good question.
That would be an intelligent
And it's also
way
in
to-
Chrome only. Not available outside of Chrome. Search by images also coming. This one coming to Chrome or to Firefox with an extension. Allows you to drag an image into the search bar, and then it'll look for images that are similar to that. I've been waiting for this for a decade.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a good example of a time where you really wish that this was a feature.
I'll tell you exactly when I've wished this was a feature, Ms. Lane.
Yep.
When I'm doing a blog post and I have a copyrighted image that's perfect, but I can't use it because I don't have the license.
Yeah.
So I would like to drag it in and say, find me other images that are similar to this.
That's a really good example.
That are either Creative Commons or public domain or something like that.
Because usually what I end up doing at that point is just searching Flickr via keyword and looking for Creative Commons pictures.
Exactly, and that's
that
kind of your only option right now. So
it's a nice.
That's cool.
Now I have a question about this. Does the image that you throw into it stay local, or do they pull that image in and log it somehow or what?
Well, you could put in a URL. So if you have a pre-existing image, I think you can upload. So I don't know if what happens to the image, if it goes to your Picasa account or where. But Google didn't. They weren't specific about what happens when you upload the actual image. You could also, I think there's a plugin, so you can just click when you see an image as well to search. I mean, this seems like a workaround if you don't have Google goggles actually. So if you have an iPhone or something, you took a picture. And this is happening with in my house. We're buying stuff, so we're going to like IKEA and stuff, taking pictures of a lot of different items. The thing is, if we don't remember which store it is, I'd imagine you could do a search this way because the iPhone doesn't have Google goggles. I know the Android devices do, so it gives a nice little advantage to people who don't have an Android phone.
Finally, Instant Pages prefetches the first search result. This is also only in Chrome, and even better, it's only in Chrome Beta. It's not coming to regular Chrome anytime soon. But the idea is not only do you get instant search results, but that first result will start to cache in the background so that when you click on it, it'll be able to come up almost instantly.
Now, Google was calling this pre-rendering, not prefetching. Prefetching is supposed to be just HTML, just getting the text and the images and things. But this is supposed to pre-render things like JavaScript and Flash and all kinds of other elements that you normally wouldn't have when you had prefetching. Because Firefox had prefetching for a long time. So did Netscape, actually. So this is kind of an interesting thing. And the dev version of Chrome, I think, has it right now. So if you want to go try it, you can.
Yeah, it's available today and then Chrome Beta next week sometime.
I think
that'll be nice. It's just the one thing I have, because they say that if they're sure that you're going to be clicking the first result, it'll start loading that. They base search results based on what they think you're going to click anyway, right? So I don't know how they're determining if they think that you're going to click the first one. You know what I mean?
I think that just their statistics probably show that most of the time people click the top result. Like in the majority of cases.
So then they should just say the first result we're always going to pre-render.
Isn't that the way it works? Is that not the way it works?
I'm not sure if...
That's not how they phrased it.
Okay.
It's not going to be the case for every single page. That's the thing.
That's weird.
So, like, let's say you're looking for something...
Yeah, no, it's a good point then, Kelly.
In their example, they showed off some, like, dairy search, something finding out some ice cream shop, and this wasn't something that was pre-rendered as fast as something like a Washington Post. So certain sites that get a lot more traffic will probably more likely have a pre-rendered version available versus some small, like, ice cream shop.
Now, in the question and answer service, this makes it sound like they went to church. In the question and answer session after the speech, Google's Alan Eustace, he's a SVP of the search division, answered some questions, and Business Insider had a report. It was pretty interesting about some of the things that they're looking to target and looking to improve in the future. One is relevant results before you search. So, for instance, they use the example of somebody who has a knee problem and has been researching surgery techniques. If a new surgery technique comes along, they would have to wait until the next time that person searched to surface that result.
Right.
But what they would like to do is figure out how to send that result. Say, hey, we saw you were searching for surgery techniques. There's a new one. Yeah, and here it is.
I love that idea for something like a medical issue, although I can see it being intrusive and downright annoying for other stuff. I mean, let's say
financials too. You know, financial information. If new stories are breaking, they would come in on top of it. Or if new information about anything actually shows up. Medical is a pretty good example. But I just like the idea that since Larry Page is in charge again, search is front and center.
Yes.
None of these silly projects on the side. I know social and plus one, all that stuff. That's nice and everything. But, I mean, that's why people use Google, right? Because their search works.
And that's where they make all their money, too.
You know, Google Plus is sort of search. I mean, it's supposed to affect search for others.
Sort of.
How results show up for other people. So it's all kind of related. I guess that's why it's a project.
It's all necessary. But, yeah, I do agree. I mean, I don't mind any of this other stuff they've been doing, but it's nice to see some tweaks to the core service. And I attribute the pressure put on them by Bing. To them doubling down and saying, you know what, we actually can't coast anymore. We can't rest on our laurels. We have to innovate. We have to move. We have to stay in front. AMD is trying to put some pressure on Intel. They announced their new Fusion A series. That's Llano. That's the name of it now. Llano is going to be the Fusion A series, 32-nanometer APU for desktop and laptop. AMD moving away from CPUs now. They're going to have all of the Fusion A series as an APU. You will still be able to buy discrete Radeon graphics cards and then add them to the APU to boost graphics performance, they say, up to 75% by having both graphics cards, both the one in the APU as well as the additional one taken advantage of. A-series equipped PCs are already shipping, so you should be able to order them soon. They expect 150 models to be put out this year. Dual-core A4 chips will compete with Core i3 CPUs, and the quad-core A6 will go after i3 and i5. The quad-core A8 taking on i5 and i7 systems. And the systems themselves, with A4, A6, and A chips, will cost around $500 for an A4 system, $600 for an A6, $700 for an A8.
Yeah, AMD has been trying to compete with Intel for a long time. Sandy Bridge came out with the integrated graphics, so they have to move like this. They have to make sure they have an integrated graphics with these APUs. But one of the, I guess, non-announcements is that there's no real new super partners. Not like Apple's working with them now. It's pretty much the same old HP, Dell, same kind of partners you're used to.
Now, you're always wanting USB 3.0 support and everything. Are you happy that
I want Lightpeak
Fusion A-series is now...
Sure.
You've moved on to Lightpeak already?
You can integrate them both.
USB 3, so yesterday.
Hasn't everybody moved on to Lightpeak?
I wanted USB 3.
No, nobody has except Apple.
Way back
in our heads, in our desires.
Other things that the A4 chips, the A-series chips will support: DirectX 11, 3D, stereoscopic 3D, capable, OpenCL, OpenGL, AMD wireless display. We'll see how many people use that. And both 1600 megahertz DDR3 and low power 1333 megahertz DDR3L.
So is Apple going to get upset about these A4s and A6s since they make the A4 and the A5?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have a chip trademark dispute? I doubt it. There's got to be
next week
some
on
reason
TNT.
this is different.
Don't underestimate.
I hear a suit coming on.
Trademark wars.
Well, Apple does have some free lawyers because they just settled their patent dispute with Nokia. Apple has agreed to pay a one-time fee and an ongoing license royalty to Nokia over their patent dispute regarding all the different stuff between the phones. This is the one where Nokia and Apple were kind of trying to one-up each other, as everyone does in these patent cases. And I guess Apple blinked.
Well, I mean, if the patents are valid, then they have to either pay or figure out something. I mean, a similar thing happened back with Apple and Creative when Creative had a patent pretty much on the iPod interface. So they just said, fine, we'll just let you have a really good license to make iPod products, and we'll pay you some money. I think this is good for Nokia. At least they're making money somehow. Kind of like how TiVo did a while ago. Just make some money with the settlement, but
yeah, the question is sort of, I mean, what company benefits more out of this? I mean, Apple gets rid of a hassle. Nokia gets a one-time payment of, I mean, it's estimated about just over 600 million.
Yeah, 420 million euro is what Deutsche Bank analyst Kai Korschel estimated.
So that's one payment, but it comes at a time where they could really use some good financial numbers because they have scared investors.
Yeah. And
so this is, I mean, the timing of this is very good for Nokia.
Patent revenue is important to them in that transition period.
So Nokia
we actually don't know for sure whether this is an increase, a decrease, a compromise, because this as Nilay Patel pointed out on thisismynext.com, this conflict has always been about what rate Apple would pay. Apple wasn't trying to say they didn't have valid patents, as some patent cases are about that. This one was about, we don't want to pay that amount of money. So we don't know if Apple finally said, you know what, this is going to cost too much to continue to litigate, let's settle, or if Nokia said, okay, we'll lower the rate.
Yeah, because we need the money.
Exactly. It could be a little of both.
So that means Nokia's revenue could be bolstered by every time Apple sells anything that's using these patents.
Yeah.
So they're rooting for Apple now?
The word on the street is that, and we don't know this for sure either, but that every iPhone will send a few euros Nokia's way.
So Nokia's making money from Apple. Microsoft is making money from Android.
Right.
So that makes all the sense in the world.
Apple is quoted in the New York Times.
It's really interesting when people are paying each other for their patents. I mean, you know, people are rooting for the other company, yet they're competing. So, I mean, it's certainly, I don't think it really changes anything in the future for either company.
Apple's quoted in the New York Times as saying that the deal includes a cross-license for some of its patents, but, quote, not the majority of the innovation that makes the iPhone unique. So you're right. It's not like Nokia is going to get to replicate the iPhone with their patents. Although a few people have pointed out that Apple and Microsoft have a lot of cross licenses already. And since Nokia, since this case began, has decided to switch all their phones over to Windows Phone operating system, it might have made the negotiations easier for Apple to go, all right, you've already got cross licenses because you're using Windows Phone 7 and we cross license with Microsoft. So we'll give on that because, well, you've got them and we're not going to object to that anymore.
So Microsoft benefits from everybody.
It's possible, anyway. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, FreshBooks at freshbooks.com, the easy way to do invoicing. If you're a freelancer, you're thinking about freelancing, you're consulting. If you're doing anything where you got to bill somebody, you got to charge somebody. Cali, you do a lot of freelancing and consulting work, I bet.
Yes.
You know,
I've used FreshBooks, and they're great. I mean, they're super simple to use. They're easy. Even one of my freelance editors uses them as well. So I think they're great. It's
a really simple way to get invoicing done so that you don't have to have the headache of trying to create an invoice, trying to print it out, trying to figure out when follow up and send emails and collecting all of that stuff. Forget it. That's it. I can't even spit all of it out. It's so confusing to think about. FreshBooks makes it simple. What you do with FreshBooks is you set up your client with all of their information. You say they owe me this much for this date, and this is the due date. And FreshBooks sends the invoice. It sends the follow-up emails. It'll even, if you want, for a little extra money, print out invoices and send them to people. And then it sends reminders when the due date is there. It will collect the payments in 11 different ways. Pretty much there's no way of objecting to paying through FreshBooks. They have so many ways for your client to pay you.
You will get paid.
You will definitely, have so many options. There's no reason you shouldn't get paid. So try it out for free today. You get up to 3 clients. It takes about a minute to set up an account. And if you go to freshbooks.com, sign up for that free account, and tell them Tech News Today sent you, you will be entered to win a free birthday cake. Every week, FreshBooks gives away a birthday cake to one of our audience members. And it doesn't even have to be your birthday to get the cake.
No, you just got to sign up.
How awesome is that?
Free account.
I know, free cake. Not a lie. We've eaten it. We know the cake is not a lie.
We have not touched your cake in any way.
No,
we ate our own FreshBooks
cake. Yeah, because I use FreshBooks. So
yes.
Check them out, freshbooks.com. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Thanks to one of the boys from Boston, I want to make sure I credit the right one, VJ, on Twitter, who pointed out this story to me right before we were coming down here. New York Times has an article talking about the Citigroup hack that happened earlier this year. They got 200,000 usernames. And what's really interesting about this is it turns out that the way they were able to hack into the bank and steal all of this customer information was to log on to part of the group's site reserved for credit card customers, and substitute different numbers in a URL until they got a hit. So in other words, you just write a script that keeps plugging in numbers until, boom, you've got one. And then you take all of that information and then put in another.
How long was the number string?
Well, it's credit card number string.
Oh, okay.
So you've got the same URL. You're just replacing that one little bit because the credit card number was in the freaking URL.
That's ridiculous.
Does Citigroup do something like that and say, this is a good, secure idea?
Jeff Williams, the CEO of Aspect Security, told the Register that's an easy attack to detect, and they just didn't do it. It's a really common flaw. That's the sad thing.
It's common?
Yeah.
If I actually saw my credit card in the URL, I would freak out.
Yeah. If I even saw my credit card without asterisks.
Right, exactly.
Covering up most of my credit card number, I would freak out, even if it was just me looking at it.
The Citi hackers also took advantage of a flaw in the Java programming framework to access information stored in an Oracle database. Financial Times reported that on Tuesday. An unnamed investigator told the Financial Times that was alarming given the wide use of Java and the database software, which are both offered by Oracle. So there was some sophistication to this attack. It wasn't all just a simple URL hack, but the fact that was part of it, that it was that simple. Like, just once you got an actual, valid login, which they might have just had a valid credit card, or they could have hacked into one account, then they get access to everybody's account. That means anybody could have done that.
Last week we were talking about a court case where what's reasonable security? I think you'd have a password and a couple of security questions. Is this reasonable, like what they did? I mean, this seems like it's a ridiculous thing. Assuming, let's say you don't have any account information, that you don't have a username or password that you've stolen or that's your own. Did Citibank provide reasonable security by putting something like that simple up in the URL? I mean,
they may be vulnerable on that point. We'll have to see. In the New York Times article, too, this really got me. One expert who is part of the investigation and wants to remain anonymous because the inquiry is in an early stage, told the New York Times he wondered how the hackers could have known to breach security by focusing on the vulnerability in the browser. Now, the New York Times article implies that they're talking about the actual URL hack, and that is a very simple hack. And as we've talked, other security researchers say that's almost inexcusable that they didn't prevent that and didn't know about that. It's very easy to defend against. So maybe the New York Times is misunderstanding this security researcher, but that seems weird to me.
It's possible
too.
that the account
Highly doubt that.
Were the account numbers with a code? I mean, were they really just plain text account numbers like directly in there?
Yeah, I don't have any more information than what's in the Register, in the New York Times, and the Daily Mail. Those are the three sources we have. But all three agree that it was as simple as replacing a number in the URL with another number, and that the credit card number was in there. So all you had to do was
just have some sort of login information.
Yeah, exactly. And that is not terribly sophisticated itself. Maybe
How
he was
long has it been
referring to
like
the
this?
framework.
Do we know?
It was this way until May, and then they fixed it. So I don't know how long it was before that. But.
Yeah.
That sounds like something I would do when I was like, let's try to hack something.
That's like a
found
movie
this
hack.
credit card number. Let me just put it in the URL and see if it works.
That looks like my credit card number in the URL. What if they change that to something else?
Yeah,
well, something
exactly.
else. Well, that's exactly right. This could just be that kind of hack. Big news today. Unlocked iPhone 4 available in the U.S. Rest of world goes, you didn't have that already?
And Verizon customers go, oh. Neat.
Yeah, not for us.
Yeah.
And Sprint customers, too, although they don't even have the iPhone, so what are they worried about? But yeah, for GSM phones, you can now buy the iPhone 4 unlocked for $649 for the 16-gig version, $749 for the 32-gigabyte version. Get you a couple things. One is you could conceivably put a T-Mobile SIM in there, although you'll only get to use the Edge network because the GSM frequencies
Who
are
would
different
do that?
on 3G.
Come on.
Somebody who hates AT&T.
Yeah, if they just...
I guess.
If AT&T
I don't
is
know.
so bad
I
in
would
your
rather
area
go
that
Verizon
T-Mobile
locked
Edge is better.
Than Edge unlocked.
And you can also, what I would do it for is for traveling. So if you go to other countries that use GSM, you can buy a prepaid SIM card and pop it in the iPhone and use it without having to worry about roaming. You can't do that with current iPhone 4s that you buy from AT&T, even though you have a SIM card.
If you're traveling a lot, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a high price, but it does make sense if you're going overseas a lot.
Yeah, rather than paying AT&T their usurious rates for roaming.
It's ridiculous to do that.
Duke Nukem Forever officially came out today. Mine didn't arrive in time for me to try to play it, and I may be thankful. I'm a little afraid to play it after reading some of these reviews.
Some scathing reviews about Duke Nukem. People don't
headlines,
think
though.
it is a good game at all.
Yeah, we've got Ars Technica's headline, Everyone Hates Duke Nukem Forever. And then there's Wired.com's review, Duke Nukem Forever should have stayed vaporware.
This is so sad. I mean, I don't think any of us really expected it to come out and win over everybody because it's just too long in the making. There was too much anticipation. But I kind of had hopes for it.
To at least be playable.
But there's a difference between something being 14 years in the making and going, it's okay. And saying, this is an awful game. It's racist. It's offensive. It's
misogynist.
It's stupid. It doesn't work very well. It's glitchy. The graphics are bad. It doesn't sound like it.
All of that together
was ready for prime time, even 14 years in the making.
So that's what I'm wondering. If this thing was released 14 years ago, do people react the same way? I mean, there's a lot of great games now, and you have a lot more advances.
That's a good question.
Is this a time period thing?
Let's read some, just a sampling of some of the things they said in the reviews. Ben Kuchera at Ars Technica said, quote, Duke is thoughtless, backwards, and belligerent. It's like watching your uncle tell racist jokes at Thanksgiving and praying someone has the guts to tell him to cut it out, but this time it's interactive and you're the uncle. I don't know that 14 years makes a difference on that point.
But was Duke Nukem exactly PC ever? I mean, it's not exactly.
No, but Kuchera's point was like, it didn't bother me in the past. He's like, it's that line between like, yeah, this is kind of risque, this is kind of racist, maybe it's on the edge, but he's like, they
this
went
is uncomfortable. I don't
well
wanna play.
over the line and made him uncomfortable.
Well, I think it's the first sentence or paragraph in the Ars Technica article about what you grab when you're first out of the gate within the first 5 minutes.
Grab a little human feces out of
it.
a toilet.
Little excrement.
Yeah, little excrement.
I'll let you say it. Okay.
Poop humor right off the top. Yep.
And that's not the worst of it. Chris Kohler at Wired, which oddly enough is a sister publication under Condé Nast to Ars Technica, Chris Kohler said he thought it was funny. He didn't mind that part of it. He found the game unplayable. He said nothing seems to work very well in Duke Nukem Forever, and he just found it glitchy and boring and hard to play.
I mean, that's almost the worst part of it is that if people have different senses of humor, right? So we're talking about a few reviews that we've read of people saying this is a very offensive game. It's not funny. It's not cute. We don't like it. But if the game doesn't work well, what's your excuse? You've been working on it a really long time.
Yeah. So it offends people who weren't offended by previous Duke Nukems.
Yeah.
And even those who aren't offended by it find it hard to play at all.
Right.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, it should be seamless.
Yeah, it should at least
Offensively
work.
seamless.
After 14 years, for goodness sake. All right, finally.
So I'm guessing there's no other version coming up next.
Well, it's forever. So
Duke Nukem forever
right.
and ever.
It lasts forever. Good. Okay.
Finally, Bloomberg has filed a formal complaint with the Federal Communications Commission accusing Comcast of violating conditions it agreed to as part of its merger with NBC Universal. We knew that this shoe would drop eventually, but it's coming from a pretty heavy hitter with Bloomberg. If Comcast now or in the future, here this is the condition that they're accused of violating. If Comcast now or in the future carries news and or business news channels in a neighborhood defined as placing a significant number or percentage of news and business news channels adjacent to one another in a system's lineup, Comcast must carry all independent news and business news channels in that neighborhood. Bloomberg's a business news channel, so it means if Comcast is grouping news channels together, they can't put Bloomberg 100 channels away, so that if you're flipping between the news channels, you never come across Bloomberg. Bloomberg now says that, hey, we're getting put in Siberia in these systems. They point to Washington, D.C. as an example. In D.C., Comcast has CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and CNBC on channels 35 to 39, whereas Bloomberg is down the dial on channel 103 next to C-SPAN 2 and 3.
I mean, I would say
not even C-SPAN 1.
Some savvy Comcast users would know that you can have your favorite channels and group them that way, and
sure,
this doesn't have to be an issue. However, I understand Bloomberg's side of this because I used to often forget about certain news outlets. You know, let's say there was a breaking story, and I'm like, oh, let's turn on CNN or MSNBC or, you know, one of those stations. Some of them are lumped together on Comcast, but not always. And you do end up maybe not flipping through all of the relevant channels because it's just kind of a hassle to go 10 over that way.
Yeah, Bloomberg's statement also had, if merger conditions are shown to be without meaning, then it becomes impossible for the commissioners to assess whether moving forward with other mergers is in the public interest. Basically saying that if Comcast is just going to disregard this one thing about the merger, what about all the other conditions that are going on? The other thing is, I wonder what kind of long-ranging effects this could have with Comcast owning NBC, which owns Hulu. Like, is this going to mess up that kind of thing? Or are you going to have all of these, like a gigantic table of information? Is there neighborhooding available?
Well, NBC had to take away their shares from Hulu, so they have less direct effect on Hulu than they used to. Whereas Fox and ABC, the other owners of Hulu, still have chairs on the board of directors. So they have more. NBC has less direct influence over Hulu than they used to. Also, Comcast responded to this saying, "We don't do that. We don't neighborhood channels." So,
well, they could also argue that's not a significant amount of
channels. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So news channels that are lumped together, 1, 2, 3, 4,
that's
with maybe Bloomberg and something
else.
It's just, wow, what a coincidence.
It's just random.
As a cord cutter, I find this conversation so 2000s.
It's too passé for you?
Yeah. It just doesn't really affect me anymore.
Let's get to
I live in
hipster
the now.
hats, then.
It would be interesting, though, and Iyaz, I think you raised a valid point. If NBC had to give up their seats on Hulu, at which point they might withdraw their content from Hulu, but they're not allowed to do that either. So this could really be punitive to Comcast, but I don't think it's going to hurt us if this complaint goes forward. Frankly, I think what will happen is Comcast will move some Bloomberg channels, Bloomberg will drop the complaint, and that'll be the end of it.
So it'll hurt us because we don't know what channel Bloomberg's on anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, it used to be 107, now it's 4?
On now to the news fuse. A report from Comcast's CNBC says that Facebook could be gearing up for an IPO next year, and it could be worth over $100 billion. The move to go public would be triggered by current financial rules that say if you've got over 500 shareholders, you've got to file reports with the SEC. Many companies like Google have used that as a reason to just have an IPO, even though it's not mandatory. However, according to Fortune, there is a bill that would change current financial rules to the point that Facebook may not go public at all.
Yeah, I think they were going to bump it up to 1,000 from 500.
Yeah,
I could see Zuckerberg doing that. I guess we'll wait and see.
I can't imagine that they want to go public. The amount of fury that happens over all of their decisions is just going to be 3 times worse.
Earlier this month, we told you about a UN report that stated it's a violation of human rights to cut off internet access for copyright infringement. Well, last Friday, Sweden made a statement that echoed many of the findings of the report and spoke out against 3 strikes rules. 40 other countries signed the statement, including the U.S. and Canada, the U.K. and France, countries that have three strikes laws in place. Unsurprisingly, did not sign Sweden's statement, but it might be something that they can't ignore forever.
It's slow, but significant progress.
Yeah.
Apple's lost its senior VP of retail, Ron Johnson. So who picked up the man behind Apple's wildly successful retail stores? Was it Microsoft? Nah, it was JCPenney.
Where fashion comes to life.
Starting November 1st, Johnson will be the CEO of JCPenney, and cue the inevitable JCPenney will now only carry turtlenecks and blue jeans jokes. Apple's already looking for a replacement for Johnson.
Engadget already made the jean yes bar joke. Get it? Like blue jeans?
Yes,
Jean.
it's horrible.
Never mind.
I can't wait to see what he does.
My jeans are broken. They're too small.
Just
Fix them.
swipe to unlock
I'm sorry,
the
your jeans are out of warranty.
My jeans used to fit.
Did you buy JCPenney Care?
So fix them. Wait, I want new ones.
A new bill in Canada would compel ISPs and search engines to hand over data to law enforcement without the need for any pesky warrants. How do Canada's big ISPs feel about this? Well, they've been mum on the matter so far. Maybe those big search giants like Google, perhaps, will have something to say about it.
Net neutrality. When are you not under attack? Comcast will bring Skype video calling to some of its set-top boxes. You'll need a camera, an adapter for your cable box, and a special remote to use Skype on your TV, but that's all you have to do. Comcast Xfinity apps will also feature Skype integration.
Oh, they're just going to bury Skype on like channel 700, and I'll never find it anyway.
It's not with the other...
So unfair.
Why is Vonage together down there at the bottom with all the other VoIP providers, but Skype is way up here?
So unfair, Comcast. If you own an HTC Desire, you have to make a serious decision soon. Want to know what it is? Do you want gingerbread or HTC's Sense UI? HTC revealed via its Facebook page that the Desire does not have enough RAM to handle both. The announcement received a lot of angry feedback from HTC fans, including one commenter who said he's got gingerbread and Sense is working using a custom ROM. So maybe HTC should hire that guy.
Yeah, consider that his application. Yeah.
That's what they were doing. It was a hidden job application there. Samsung introduced a 1 terabyte internal 2.5-inch hard disk drive, and you might be saying, so what? Western Digital already did that. Well, not exactly. Western Digital used 3 platters, so you couldn't install the thing into regular laptops, but Samsung's uses 2 platters, so you can fit this into a standard drive bay. So hooray for massive portable storage.
So I could put a terabyte in my MacBook Pro?
If you feel like it.
I'm salivating a little.
Some details about Nintendo's Wii U are finally leaking out. Apparently, it'll have a custom Radeon GPU that isn't the best available right now, but the GPU ought to be much better than the aging GPUs found in the PS3 and the Xbox 360. The Wii U's GPU will handle DirectX 10.1. It really is. And it'll allow for multiple displays. You say that 3 times fast.
Wii U.
I'm not going to try. Instead, let's do the numbers. Microsoft Xbox 360 recorded another strong sales month, now accounts for 34% of all video game revenues spanning hardware, software, and accessories for the first 5 months of the year. This according to the MPD Group. Figures only represent physical retail sales for hardware, software, and accessories, not digital format content distribution. And Xbox was not the only top-selling platform to experience gains year over year. So did Sony's PS3 and PSP. May was a slow month for Nintendo. Both sales of the 3DS and the Wii were light. The 3DS might get momentum now that they've got all these new titles that were announced at E3, but the Wii platform is expected to continue to sputter for the next year until the Wii U with its GPU finally show up next year.
No APU in the Wii U?
There might be an APU from the AMD in the Wii U.
There used to be an ATI.
Says NPD.
NPD says this? Okay.
So yeah, I mean, this is not a big shocker here to see the Wii finally falling, but it dominated for so long. It's kind of sad.
Everybody who wanted a Wii already has one.
Yeah. Combined sales.
I also feel like a lot of people who have Wiis don't use them. I hear that a lot from my friends. Oh yeah, I haven't picked up the Wii in a long time. So.
And the Wii still has the highest install rate. 36 million installs. So that's not sales. That's the number of Wiis that are installed. It still dominates, which is good for selling games. So Nintendo will make plenty of money between now and the time the Wii U comes out.
Yeah.
Sure.
There are certain people that I know that have, every weekend they have their games on the Wii and they do the whole family thing. And so, I mean, it's still being used. But you're right, Sarah. I think there are a lot of people who just kind of leave it be.
Yeah, I mean, the people who love it. I think for a lot of other people, it was a novelty.
Leave the Wii be.
It was.
Yeah.
Leave the Wii be. You be.
On to the calendar.
T-Mobile's Father's Day deal is giving dads free data for a year, and you don't even have to be a dad, actually. It's almost like a FreshBooks deal, but does run only on Saturday and requires a new 2-year contract for new and existing customers, and that's something to consider when you consider that T-Mobile might not be the T-Mobile that you know and love in much less than 2 years. Hard to say. The Usenic's annual technical conference starts in Portland, Oregon tomorrow. That's June 15th. It goes on for 3 days. There's a lunar eclipse tomorrow, and guess what? Canada, you can't participate.
What?
Neither can the U.S. North America won't see it at all, but it will be visible in places like Eastern Africa, Central Asia, the Middle East, and Western Australia, weather permitting. Of course, there'll be some webcams if you want to participate. It's supposed to last about an hour and 40 minutes, so check your live streams. LTE from Verizon is coming to 19 cities, including but not limited to Sacramento, Hartford, and Indianapolis on Thursday, June 16th.
It's coming to Salt Lake City, too, just in time for Nerdtacular.
Hey. That's where you're going.
Which also is on Friday.
Going for the LTE staying for
yeah, exactly.
Stay for the nerds.
Come for the fast wireless.
And the rumors are heating up that the Apple is going to sell a new MacBook Air later this month. The latest from Taiwan's Economic Daily. They're quoting industry sources saying in late June, 380 units are going to be shipping.
Yeah, with a real processor, Sandy Bridge this time.
Hey.
Not that Core 2 Duo 7-year-old technology.
So these,
That's like 5 years.
I hope it's true. I originally was hoping it would be Wednesday.
I don't really care.
But
am I dead inside?
Yes.
This does not get me excited.
Well,
I'm right there with you, actually, Tom.
Yeah?
Sorry.
Nobody wants a real processor in the MacBook Air.
Well, Tom, you don't have
I don't want
Air.
a MacBook Air. I don't
Callie,
have
do you already have an Air, or are you just not interested in one?
No, I like the Air, but I haven't purchased one because I just want my full-on MacBook Pro.
Yeah. See, I've got the 17 Beast.
Larger than your head.
Yeah. And it's become, I have back problems carrying this to and from
you didn't
work.
used to.
So I'm like, ooh, an Air. That could be a neat little supplemental machine.
Yeah, book reduction.
Let's go to the phones. 260-TNT Show is our phone number. We asked for you to send us some pithy, awesome, substantive voicemails, and we got this.
Hello, TNT crew, and Sarah, I hope your pink eye gets better. This is Scott from Orangevale, and I'm just calling with a little report on LulzSec. They have decided to go after several MMORPGs, most notably being EVE Online and Minecraft. They just recently ended the attack about an hour ago, or actually about half an hour ago, and as of about 1 o'clock Pacific time today, the attack has still not brought back EVE Online servers. They've taken them down as a security precaution because they don't know what's going on. Have a great show, guys, and don't forget to buy a TWiT brick.
I like the on-the-scene reporter. He checks in with Sarah to make sure her eye is okay.
It is better. Thank you so much.
Gives us time-stamped reporting on LulzSec hacking. And then leaves with a promo for bricks.twit.tv.
I think you might have to include him in more shows, guys.
You know what? If he calls up with good content like this, absolutely we'll do so. I love it. We also got an email from Sean who pointed out that not just EVE Online and Minecraft, but also the Escapist magazine got hacked.
Doesn't our friend Russ Pitts work there?
He is the editor-in-chief of the Escapist magazine.
Well, he is possibly not having the best day.
No, he's not having the best day ever. On to the email, TNT@twit.tv. Jim Nichols from Grand Rapids, Michigan wrote in and said, hey, I've re-downloaded some songs from the iCloud service, and some are still 128 kilobits per second protected AAC files. These are the ones that have yet to be made available to upgrade to iTunes Plus, which is DRM-free. Apple said this is due to some songs and albums not being on the iTunes Store anymore due to licensing agreements with the label. So I'm still stuck with over 150 DRM'd songs at 128 kilobits per second.
Yeah, that's annoying.
The question is, how common is this?
Right.
Does he have weird taste, or are these Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, and those are the only two popular names I can come up with.
I just wonder why there would be any music that isn't DRM free in the Apple Store. That just seems like an oversight. like no record company would really want to do that intentionally, would they?
Well, what was the what's the name of the service that Apple offered when they let you convert your DRM stuff that you had bought through iTunes?
Match?
No, not Match, because that's a cloud service. iTunes Plus, is that what it was? Yeah. I mean, I remember running Plus, and it only applied to some of the songs, at least back in the day.
Yeah, but by now, really, it's still that way.
I mean, if it's an obscure label, maybe Apple's like, we don't.
They just never went and did it. Yeah, maybe.
Exactly. Next email from Jonathan Derry. Hey, TNT crew, just wanted to let you know that Reddit has 2 different ways of accessing a subreddit. You could go to reddit.com/r/technewstoday, for example. But the way I find easier is to go to technewstoday.reddit.com. So that's almost like more of a traditional subdomain. Hope this will be helpful.
Hey, and technewstoday.reddit.com is looking awesome. Big thanks to the moderators, TD Enterprises, Jacob Miller, and Kyle. They've got a modified Reddit logo with a beard holding a TWiT laptop. The up and down arrows have been modified into TWiT logos. There's the Tech News Today logo on there as well. And big thanks to folks like Terrence is the Man, Matt3, SA Jewers, Genie, PC Guy 999, and Phasicus, Doppelganger Merritt, which I believe is Tom Merritt in Oxford, for submitting good stories on Reddit. We may not use every story that shows up on the Reddit, but we do read them and we consider them when we make the lineup. And a lot of times, for instance, with the Globe and Mail story from SA Jewers on the Canadian bill, it's something I didn't see anywhere else, and we included it because of Reddit. So if you can submit links, love it. Really happy to have folks submitting links. That really helps. But even if you're like, I don't have time to submit links, just check in there once a day and do some votes, because that helps us know what stuff you're liking.
Absolutely.
Finally, Chris Mitchell from Uni Networks wrote in and said he thinks we confused 2 issues in DOCSIS when we talked about the 4.5 gigabits per second cable issue. I'll let you read his full email in our show notes at the wiki at twit.tv/TNT. But essentially, DOCSIS 3 has downstream throughput of 160 megabits per second, and that is shared amongst the different people who subscribe. So you might get 12 or 16 or 50 or 100 depending on the plan you subscribe to. So the 4.5 gigabits per second that we were talking about yesterday is that downstream throughput to the market. It will not mean that anyone can get 4.5 gigabits per second to their home. The article was obviously titled as link bait, he says. A more honest title would have been Cable Gets Faster in Lab Somewhere. So thanks Chris Mitchell for helping us to clarify that. Do appreciate it. Don't forget the bricks, bricks.twit.tv. You still have a chance to get one. They're almost all gone though, so get over there quickly. I know 2 just went to Howell, Mr. Howell, Bob Howell, who provides our mics
provides our
and
most
hosts
wonderful
our
mics.
newest show, Ham Nation.
That's right. And he was also on an episode of Triangulation with you and Leo.
Bob's great. Love Bob. Callie Lewis, love you too. Thank you so much for being on the show. Remind people again about the Line Show and where they can watch your stream.
Okay, so all of our streaming up in New York at the CEA line shows will be at geekbeat.tv/live. So pretty easy.
All right, tune in. It's like seeing a little mini CES with just the cool stuff. Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening, however you consume it. We're glad to have you aboard. Twit.tv/TNT is our URL. You can find our electronic mail address at this address, TNT@twit.tv. You can also give us a call on a rotary or push-button phone, 260-TNT-SHOW. We'll see you tomorrow.
Somebody's going to dig up a rotary phone just to call.